Hello friends, welcome to my studio in Montreal and to our course about the brushes. After the paper, the brushes is the main tool for the watercolor artist. And it's really main tool, it's in our hands always. And what is interesting, we have to change our brushes in the process, you know that. Always depends on the job what we want to do. For now, on our painting, we have to take the right brush. That means the right tool. In that course I will try to explain you the basic things about what kind of brushes we have on the planet and what kind of brushes we need for this job or for that job. And remember, all what I will tell you, this is my personal experience. Maybe you agree with some ideas, maybe you disagree, you decide. I just trying to tell you what I know and what I think about these main artist tools. Let's go! First of all, you have to know I'm a hunter. I'm always trying to and find the new materials, new brushes. And there is no other way how to decide which brush is yours. You have to try it. How do you know, do you like a steak or not? You have to try a steak. If you like it, it will be with you all your life. If not, you just take another one food. So that's what I'm trying to do all my life. And some brushes really cool and really nice, but I couldn't use it. It's not fits to my style. Some of them just brilliant and it's with me forever. As you know, I produce my personal line of brushes, the brushes what I'm using. And I promise you, today and that course I say zero about my brushes. So we're trying to observe what we have on the market except mine tools, okay? And as you know, some brushes really cool, like for instance this one. This is look amazing. It's look like a katana, you know, for fighting, and that made from horse. Incredible stuff. Unfortunately I couldn't use it, so I know how to do that, so we have to hold the brush like this. By the way, that's interesting idea. To use that brush correctly, you have to hold it like that and with this position, and imagine what water moving on your arm, on your hands, going here, and after that touching the paper. So that's interesting brush, and we have a lot of very specific brushes, and I'm trying to collect all of them. By the way, my collection have around maybe 1000 brushes. I don't want to talk about that specific brushes today. We will talk about the brushes, the more regular brushes what we can use in our painting process. First, let's try to understand what we're looking for from brushes. We need to transform our watercolor mix to the paper and make the nice stripe. How much water we move from our palette to the paper. How it will be look like on our paper. That depends on the brushes. That's why we will talk about the different kind of tools. And one of them, and the first one, the biggest one, the flat washing brushes. You can see all of them on my table. And we will start to talk from this. This is just incredible tool. I was lucky, I know the owner of this company, that's Korean brush. It's incredible, fantastic quality. And yeah, it's kind of expensive. I'm using this brush always to prepare my paper. For the big size painting on the rolls, I'm using this for painting as well. So my advice, if you have a chance to find that brushes, which is not easy, you have to buy it, because again it's incredible quality. This or that, by the way, this brush is the gift from owner, and I'm just really happy and enjoying to use that. It's a big pleasure. And this is all of them natural hair, pretty nice and strong. That's why I like that brushes. For instance, compared to the regular big washing brushes like this. That's the goat, the most useful hair for the big size brushes. And it's very soft. Sometimes softness is great, but it's make a lot of limitation with the techniques what you can use. But just to make your paper wet, that's great. For example, I'm using this when I'm painting for the not big size painting, like a quarter, half of the imperial size or full sheet. I'm using this to make my paper wet and prepare the paper, because with the pressure it's more easy to push the water inside the fibers. And after that, when my paper almost ready to paint, using this guy I remove the extra water and keep the same level of the water on the whole surface of the paper. This, one of the most popular brush for washing. That's from the goat. Again, it's very soft here, and you can find kind of these brushes in any store. By the way, do you know the huge secret? How to understand is that synthetic or it's natural hair? I can tell you, don't tell anyone. In my hands, two brushes. This is the natural, this is the synthetic. And just think, what is the synthetic hair? It's just a long tube, nothing more. And the natural hair is a very complicated construction. It's not just like a flat tube. That's why when we talking about the synthetic brushes, you can move your fingers this direction and that direction and nothing happens. You can move your fingers just like that. And your brush still look like a tube. But if you take the natural hair, you can move your fingers in that direction, but you could move it back. So you see what happens. All the hair just collected, because it's not just tube, it's more complicated. So by this way you can understand you have in your hands natural or synthetic brush. And that's an interesting game. So now, if you want, you can came to your friend's watercolor artist, take his brush and say, oh, this is a synthetic. So first of all that brushes normally needs to hold a lot of water, because that's the job, to put a lot of water on your paper. And some of them synthetic, like this. This is one of the best brand in our world, Da Vinci, amazing quality brushes. For instance, this one, it's a very soft brush, very soft hair. It's good for first washing, I can say, but it's very hard and pretty hard to control the shape with that brush, because, as I say, it's too soft. But the quality again, brilliant. This one, it's the Krumbacher, great quality brushes. This is the mix between different hair, and the mostly inside it's a camel hair. Very nice quality, a little bit more strongly compared to that synthetic, and much strongly compared to that goat. By the way, the most soft brushes what you can find, something like that. This brush made from pony, the small horse. Something very specific, the most softly tool what you can find. And one of the most expensive, for sure, this is the squirrel brushes. The squirrel, as you know, the best hair for the big mops, for the washing brushes, for the watercolor. So something like that will be with you a very long time, because it's natural. The synthetic brushes dying much faster compared to the real guys. So the soft brushes like that is great solution. Just one thing, look at this brush. That distance, it's a very short hair. Compare, for instance, to that. So this is much longer. And you know what the difference in the end? This less softly, more strongly, and hold less water. That means more easy to control. That means all the washing big flat brushes like that, Longer hair, more water, hard to control. Short hair, less water, easy to control. Depends for sure your style and what you're looking for from these brushes. By the way, that one, this is the gift from Praful Sawan, the great artist from India. These brushes he used many years, and that brush, handmade, made special for him. So I'm very proud to have that gift from him. Amazing brushes, 2 different sizes, brilliant quality. Unfortunately, it's almost illegal for now to use that brushes in India because of the natural animal hair, wild animal. The gold brushes can be with a different construction, can be something like that. It's not mine brush, it's completely different stuff. Very soft, or these, no matter. So if you're just trying to make your collection or your tools for your painting, one of the flat washing brushes definitely should be in your set. Which one, you decide. My advice, let's try to use first the gold brushes, not big, something like maybe 2 inches, not more. For the beginning, that will be okay. And not long hair. Then you're starting to use them, you're going to feel is it fits in your style or what you're looking for or not. If you need something softly, makes sense to switch to the squirrel brush. If you need something strongly, maybe you can find something like a synthetic, strong synthetic hair. It depends of what you are looking for from the big washing brushes. The next kind of brush is what should be in your set normally. We call that mop brushes. What we're looking for from mop brushes? For the same moment, it have to be round brush which hold a lot of water, and at the same moment it's pointy brush. So we need a sharp tip in the end. These brushes used a lot of great artists around the world, like Alvaro, Joseph Zbukvic, a lot of great masters using that brushes, always. So I can say this is one of the main brushes in our sets. What does it mean mop? The mop brushes have that wires around the hair, and by these wires it's connected to the wood part. That's why that brush is called mop. Some of them look like this, round brushes, and for now it's not look like a sharp, but if you put it in the water, believe me, it will be very sharp brush. Some of them, like made by another one great company, is Skoda from Barcelona. You should know I was lucky, I was on the Skoda factory, I know the owner, we meeting, and I know how they make the brushes. I have to tell you, and that's true, they put a lot of love in that brushes, what they doing. Great quality, really handmade, perfectly made brushes, and it's very friendly people make that brushes. That means then you take that brushes in your hand, you feel something the same. It's still, I can say, mop brush, it's just have a little bit different connector here, not like these Da Vinci brushes. But idea is the same, it's just the round, very soft hair with a very pointy tip. Some brushes have a different hair, for sure, synthetic, regular, natural. Normally these brushes have to be made from squirrel. And believe me, I know it's very expensive, like this small guy, I don't want to tell you the price. This is small guy from France, Raphael, another one great company, special about the mop brushes. Incredible quality. So this guy extremely expensive, even if we're talking about the small brush like that. But believe me, because of the natural squirrel hair, this brush it's like one-time investing that will be with you forever. And you see, that's the small size, that means this brush don't hold a lot of water and good to control. That guy holds much more, and That's great if you want to make more spontaneous strikes, especially if you use a bigger size paper. So all of them different. Sometimes you can find something like a synthetic brushes, like this. This is Escoda Ultima from Barcelona company. It's great quality brushes, but it's not natural. And by the way, you already know the secret. So if you move in your fingers like this, you see, nothing happens compared to the real hair. So synthetic brushes, this one, I can say the most close to the natural squirrel hair. If you are looking for some brushes to replace your natural hair squirrel brushes, the Barcelona Escoda Ultima will be the best choice for that. It's a very interesting brush. First of all, it's cheap, but quality, for some reason that happens, quality is great. And this is the mix between natural and synthetic hair. What inside, I'm not sure. I can say, for my feeling, 70% here is the synthetic, a little bit natural hair. But quality is great, very sharp, pointy, and at the same moment perfectly holds water. So this brush is a great combination. Some of them it's very hard to find, like this one. This is the goat mop brush, and it's more strongly compared to the regular squirrel brushes. So it's very rare stuff, and I like that. So that's in my set, and times to times I'm using this if I'm looking for really more brushes. Again, there is no difference. Is the brush have that kind of connection to the wood part, or is just like a classical mop? No matter. Round brush, long hair, pointy tip. That's the mop or regular round brush. The next brush, which is necessary in our set, pointy, sharp, small size round brush. One of the most famous that kind of brushes is the Escoda Perla. Almost everybody knows that brand because of the Perla. Perla is extremely sharp, great quality synthetic brush like this. By the way, then we're talking about that kind of brushes. Mostly it's a synthetic brushes. For sure, you can find the different hair here. But for this job, I mean to make not big size, small touching around your painting, you need something very sharp, hold some mix, very pointy like that, and very strong hair. So the best things for this is something like that, Escoda Perla. As you know, the Escoda produce all the range of the Perla series, from the small brushes to big one like that. So all of them works perfectly for that. Another one brand from Italy, B&B. It's less expensive compared to the Escoda brushes, and I was lucky again. I know the owner, we met, and I'm really like them. It's good quality. I tried like 5-7 different kind of brushes from this company, and I know was disappointed, so I can recommend you that. You see, all of them look pretty similar, and it almost doesn't matter which brand you use. Some of them more pointy, and that's great. Some of them more softly, and depends on your style, maybe it will be good for you. For instance, the same Escoda company make the synthetic brushes. It's called Versati, and this is a little bit softly compared to the Escoda Perla, but the same pointy. So you have to find some brushes which is fits to your style, but normally these are like another one tool what should be in the regular set. What we have to add in our set to finish it? This brush is called liner. Just think, we can make a big washing. We can create big shapes after we make the big washing using the round mop brush. After that we switch to the more tiny and sharp brush to create the details, and finally to make a very small and perfectly made details, we need some different brush. For this we're gonna use liner. The liner called liner because this brush make lines. Traditional liners almost not exist on the market, and it's pretty hard to find. And my advice, if you will see some brushes like real liners like that in the store, you have to buy it. The traditional liner look like this. Look at that. This brush connected from the two different hair. One of them longer. It's inside in the center of the brush. And normally it's very strong hair because this hair create the line. And around this we have a short hairs which have to hold your mix. Idea is you can take your mix just one time, and after that this brush, almost like a marker, can create a lot of lines for you. Make all the details on the trees, make the wires, everything. All the top brands, companies produce the brushes like that. For instance, this is a Skoda Ultima. It's real Kolinsky. Very expensive and a great quality brush. And the same system. Strong hair in the center, more hair around to hold your mix. Again, it's very hard to find that kind of brushes on the market. If you will see that, take it. More easily to find these kind of liners. It's just very tiny and very sharp brush. It's great for this job, but it's because of the construction. You see all the hair have the same size everywhere. You can make tiny lines, but you have to take your mix again and again and again. By the way, this brush, one of the most favorite brush of my friend Mikhail Richko from Ukraine. Great quality brushes. This, it's much better construction. This is brush from Da Vinci company from Germany, real Kolinsky, and again absolutely amazing, fantastic quality. But look at this, compared to the brush what we talked before, this very pointy and sharp, but here we have a more hair. That means this brush hold much more water and still pointy, great for the details. For instance, by this brush it's very easy to make a lot of wires on the cityscapes. This brush make it almost itself. Sometimes you can find a very complicated brushes like that. Yeah, it's look like a toy and it's very funny brush, but you know, it's great for dancing, because if you're gonna use that brush just moving like that, you can create a lot of spontaneous lines. This brush made special for that. Look at this, the long hair, that means less control. Less control, more spontaneous painting. It works for any kind of brushes, by the way. Plus, and few words about the specific brushes. It's not necessary to have that in your set, but you should know what does exist, and it's very popular. Depends on the style what you're using for your painting. This is the small size flat brushes, something like this. Why we need this brush? First of all, this brush creates strong strikes which have a absolute understandable rectangle shapes. If you prefer to make your painting from the strong shapes rectangles like that around, that brush for you. Plus, if the hair is short, especially like on that brush, and it's synthetic and strong, this brush is great for washout. I mean, because of the synthetic strong hair, this brush is very easy to remove pigments from your paper. For that reason, I'm using these brushes times to times. For example, if I need just to create a very light line on my dark painting, I can use that brush just to take off the pigments, which is impossible to do with the other brushes because they are not strong and it's not tiny like that. So for this job, for washout, that one of the best tool. You can create highlights if you miss it with that brush without problem. And another one specific brush, this. It doesn't matter what kind of brand is that. This brush It's not round brush and it's not flat brush. And it's not exactly sharp brush. It's something between. It's like a universe tool for any kind of job, because it can be very pointy and sharp and can be flat for the washing, and plus if we put it on the water it can be very sharp. These brushes you can find in almost any brand make the brushes like that. Personally, I don't like the universe tool because, you know, for each kind of job better to use the best tool made special for that. But sometimes it's a great solution. Again, it's up to you. Depends of your style, depends of your taste. But you should know that exists. Few more words about the travel brushes. I couldn't say what that's like something different. It's the same idea. We have a sharp brushes, flat brushes, we have a pointy brushes, we have liners for travel. What does it mean for travel? That means construction will be like that. Then you're traveling, you hold your brush inside the tube like that. And this is protection. You can put it in your bag, in your backpack, in your just pocket, but then you're going to use that, you extend your brush with a longer handle and go into paint. What is great here, it's very easy to care about that brush and using then you're traveling. What is not great, normally it's pretty heavy brushes because it's a lot of specific metal. But for traveling it's one of the best solutions. And then I can say one of the best brushes in that series, this is Escoda Reserva. Kolinsky, perfect quality, great brushes. Extremely expensive, but it's like a Cadillac, you know. You have to be ready to pay for the top level brushes. As I say, it's just the way how to care about the brushes, not like a new kind of brushes. Finally, what kind of brushes you have to include in your set. Again, remember, we're talking about the like regular normal set. Each artist different. So normally in your set you need something like this. Big washing brush. Any kind of, depends on what you're looking for. But you have to be ready to create the big sky or prepare your paper or make big ocean. So we need a big washing brush. We need something mop or soft round brushes, better from Squirrel. Like this size or like that size, depends of your size of painting and your style. But that's like a main brush for any kind of job. The second one, pointy brush for the details. Something like a Escoda Perla or similar to this. And in the end, the great quality liner. Something like that. So what I have here, it's like a full set for any kind of styles, any kind of job. Depends on what you really need, you can add the different, very specific brushes. But normally that set covers everything what you need. Except one thing. We have another one range of the brushes. Chinese brushes. As you know, the watercolor came in our world from China. That means this country have a very strong traditions how to create the great quality brushes, how to produce the nice paint, and by the way, they know about watercolor much more than we are. So let's try to understand what we can find in the China about the watercolor brushes. First of all, this washing brush. So the construction is interesting. It's a bamboo and inserted just a regular goat. Soft, big brush. I couldn't say well, that's much better than traditional washing brushes what we use in European style paintings, but you have to know that exists. That, guys, is more interesting. This is the round brush from goat. The goat is like a great alternative to the squirrel, and still soft and hold a lot of water. Good quality brushes, hard to find, because on the market it's a lot of very cheap brushes like that. But if you will find a good quality brand, remember the name and use it. it's a really nice alternative to the squirrel. More interesting brushes from the wolf. This is the red hair, and it's a very strong brush, very strong hair. And this brush great for the, it's like a spring almost, great for the details because of the not a lot of water inside and because of can be very pointy. Plus, in China you can find a combination between the two guys. So inside the wolf, outside the goat. It's not easy to find that kind of brushes, but if you can, special, if it's good quality, you have to be ready to pay for that because it's expensive brushes. But if you find that, trust me, that brushes deserve to be in your set. Plus, in China you can find the liner. You see, that's the same construction. Strong hair in the middle, a lot of hair around to hold the water. Brilliant stuff. And the best liner, this, I couldn't talk about that liner because I promise you I'd say nothing about mine brushes, and that one of my main tool. So we'll talk about that in the next course. To be honest, I have to tell you what in the world you can find a lot of completely different brushes. For instance, look at that. Now you know what brushes you can find around you in the art stores, art supplies, and why you have to choose this or that depends on the job what you have to do with that brush. And by this way, thinking, trying, looking around, you can create your personal set of brushes. But believe me, during all your life that set going to change. With your experience, with the different styles what you're trying, you need a different tools, and finally your style, your brushes, your set going to change. Don't stuck on the some brushes forever. It never happens if you're growing up like an artist. We can talk about how to hold your brushes, but it's a very specific idea. Just a few things I have to tell you. Number one. Never, never, never hold your brushes and keep your brushes with that protection stuff. This is just for the store. Then you buy your brush and starting to use it. Never use that plastic stuff for protection anymore. The reason is simple. Your brush needs to breathe. The air needs to make you dry. So don't use this. Never, never, never. We love our brushes. This is it's like our hands. And it's very nice if we hold our brushes on our table like that. It's always look brilliant and pretty nice. But you should know about one huge problem with these brushes like that. After you paint, imagine what happens. Your brush is wet. Inside your brush, even if you clean it perfectly, we still have water, pigments. And what happens if you put your brush in your vase like this? All the dirt, water, everything going inside your brush. And your brush going to die. What is the best solution to keep your brushes in the good condition? Don't hold it like this if it's wet. Then it's dry, no problem. You can put it like that and everything will be fine. But if it's still wet, you have to keep it in that position or just like that on your table. And I can show you a few secrets about how to hold your brushes. First of all, the great solution came from China. it's look like that. First of all, it's look incredible cool on your table, believe me. Second one, it's very smart solution. Your brushes drying perfectly because all the water, all the dirt going here, not inside your brush. And it's really look nice in your studio. Another one nice solution, that's my personal trick. You know that stuff, you can find it in any kid's store. And this stuff is just great to care about your brushes after you finish your painting. Because normally all our tables have a soft angles, and anyway the brushes is the round stuff and can move around your table, which is not nice. All what you need, this. After that you can put a lot of brushes like that in this stuff, you see, a lot of them. And that will be perfectly holds here. Then it will be ready, you can take it back and put in your beautiful vase and keep it on your table. It's a great solution how to care about your brushes. And my personal advice, never use something except water to clean your brush. Believe me, the water is all what you need. If after you clean your brush with the water you have some pigments inside your brushes, so what? The next time you will take the same pigments, so it's not a big deal. But the soap or other stuff for cleaning brushes will be in your brush as well, and that's not nice for mixing pigments on your palette. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions about the brushes, all my experience at your service. Feel free to send me the message after the video in the comments, and I will happy to answer. Stay healthy and I hope see you next time. Bye bye.